We live on verses. We send each other verses. But many times we may be missing the point of that message in that text because we are not reading passage. Remember, chapter divisions in our Bible came hundreds of years later in the beginning of the 13th century, that is 1200s. Before that, there were no chapter divisions in your Bible. Also remember, verse divisions came in the middle of the 16th century, 1500s. There were no verse divisions before that. So if you ask the author of John, how many chapters are there in the Gospel of John? You know it, right? How many chapters? John, 21. But the writer of John doesn't know that, because that was put in much, much later. Now the problem, once you have a number, some of us think that the number, just one verse, any verse will have some meaning without any context. That's not the way it was written. When Paul writes a letter, when he talks about one issue, he has, and any good modern translation will give a paragraph. So when we look at a text in its paragraph, then we'll get the meaning, right? It is very important that we learn how to understand biblical texts in their own context. Otherwise, we are very happily saying wonderful things which may not be true. So very, very important for us to read the text in context. And therefore, I recommend that pastors preach from passages, not from verses. I have a feeling that some pastors, they fall into a temptation. They are so busy during the week that there is no time to prepare for Sunday morning. They have not thought ahead. So Saturday night they start praying, Lord, what do you want me to? Or Sunday morning they get up early and start preparing. And what can happen is you look at a concordance. Some thought comes. Okay, so look at concordance and then pick up verses from all over and preach. So you'll have 10 verses in notes, preach it. But that may not be the best way to preach the Bible, because God did not give us the Bible that way. God gave us the Bible in writings. We call it books sometimes, right? Some of them are big sections. The first 5 books in the Old Testament are big books. But some of them are small. First John is not so big. Second John, 1 page. Third John, this much only. They are not books, they are writings, small postcards. So, but we must read the whole writing to get the meaning, not verses. Right? So one of the things we are doing today is look at the Gospel of Mark. I want to say